Namaste. I hope you're well and that this video finds you in a moment of ease. I have just come off of the mountain. Well, I'm still on the mountain on Mount Shasta. I've just come off a vision quest, a 5-day vision quest, which was the culmination of an initiation of elements, culminating in the element of spirit. Where we go out on the mountain to receive our vision and to make our prayers so that we may have that clarity and embodied knowing of how it is we are to spend our time on earth, where we are to be, and to make the prayers for that. And I've been here making offerings or giveaways as they're called, and following the medicine of the native ways of this land, of the indigenous people of North America. And having prepared and being very much steeped in the medicine here, I feel very called to share a little bit about the pathway of initiation. And you may have seen a video or two that I've done in the past about this, and this is just seeking to deepen that as I'm in a space of contemplation, reflection, and embodiment, having taken myself deeper into my initiatory pathway. And so, where do I want to start? There are many ways that we can go through initiation. There are many ways to be on the path of initiation. And sometimes we have a teacher that guides us and that initiates us through various rites of passages, ceremonies, or medicine ways, teachings, ways of being. This is probably the most well-known way that we are initiated by another. And we can also be initiated by the spirits of plants, plant medicines, the spirits of animals, and other beings that are here to guide and protect us. And we very much see this in many indigenous traditions, the indigenous traditions of this land, in the Vedic tradition, in the Inca tradition, in ancient Kemetian or Japanese lineages. The spirits of animals, the medicines of animals and of different plants and of different beings actually show up. There are teachings in ancient scriptures that have been built upon as we continue to work with these medicines, and through the oral transition where a teacher speaks to their student, these transmissions, these teachings are given. And again, these are built on over time. So we can connect directly with the plants and animals themselves, with the medicines of the land themselves, the rocks, the rivers, the mountains. These all have spirits, they're all soul, and they all have a medicine to share. Or we work with a teacher, a human teacher, or maybe a teacher not in their body anymore, in order to guide us and initiate us on this path and to learn. And sometimes, for many of us, we realize, or at some point we start to realize, that actually what we're doing in this life is we're taking ourselves on the path of initiation. First and foremost, before we give up our power to the external, which isn't giving up of power in terms of lessening our power. I'm not talking about that. When we work with a teacher, we work with something external of ourselves. The power we're giving away, or we're giving to somebody in a relationship in order to share that power with them so that they can teach us. But it's really important to understand power dynamics and be aware of that and have a balance of retaining that power also within ourselves to be able to guide ourselves on this journey. The teachings of Saturn, the planet Saturn, are here to share with us that we are the greatest teachers that we will ever have in our life. We are the greatest gurus in our own worlds. And the sooner we realize that, the better for our evolution. Because when we're just relying on and giving up our power and actually giving away our sovereignty to something or somebody else, because we don't believe that we have the power to guide ourselves, or that we have the ability to remember our gifts and our talents, to tap into our DNA, which holds the information of everything that's ever existed. If we don't have that belief or worthiness within ourselves, that sense of deservedness to be able to connect with the trees and the nature beings, and to take ourselves through this journey, then we're always relying on something or someone else to tell us, to teach us, and to tell us what to do. And so as we start to learn the medicine ways of the land, we start to come into natural divine time, universal law, cosmic laws. We start to work with natural divine time. We start to work with the directions, with the elements. We start to work with the medicine of these different markers of time. We start to come into reverence of the land, of the seasons, of nature, of the natural world, and of the cosmic order. When we start to do that, we start to understand that this whole existence that we are co-creating within, we are a part of, our consciousness is co-creating with all of these other beings, that this in itself is a co-creation, that we are at the center of the co-creation of our world. We start to have those experiences that we can't ignore, that we start to recognize the signs and synchronicities in nature as we start to connect to nature and natural time. We see these synchronicities, we feel these synchronicities, and we start to come into this flow. And as we start to understand this, we go, oh my gosh, I'm a part of this. I'm also making this happen. And with that journey, we start to deepen and really understand that our path is to initiate ourselves, to co-create, work with the elements, with the plant spirits, with the natural beings, with our guides, with our teachers, in order to be at the center and guide ourselves deeper and deeper into our journey. And so we experience many initiations throughout our lives. Initiations are simply points of significance, auspicious points, celebratory points, points in our life where we can stop and reflect, take heed of where we are, and initiate ourselves, move through into a new phase in our lives. And within many indigenous cultures and traditions we can see that there are initiations or rites of passage that we are gifted from our community, from our elders, from our teachers, that mark these times in our lives, these coming of ages, of maybe when we're a mother giving birth, or as a woman when our bleed comes, or as a man when it's time to wed a woman. There are many times in our lives where these rites of passage are there, or these rituals or ceremonies there to mark this initiation into this new phase. But there's also this sense of situations that occur in our lives, or big events, or big things that we're moving through, that themselves are initiations. And this often gets missed. We often spend so much of our time simply dwelling on what we could have done better, or what we didn't do good enough, or what we missed, or comparing ourselves with others, to falling into those lower tendencies of those parts of us that still hold burdens around fear and shame and heavy emotions and guilt, the stories and the traumas that we've accumulated. And as we start to unravel that, as we start to gain awareness of our inner world, of our system and our parts, and how their perspective has been influenced by the experiences we've had, when we start to work with our parts, we start to refine our perception as we unburden, and we no longer carry that as much of that heavy energy around with us. We can sharpen our internal awareness, we can sharpen our external awareness, and we can start to come into a place of appreciation for the path of initiation that we are on, for the gateways that we walk through, for the challenging situations that we face that are initiations in themselves. And then we can start to value ourselves in a completely different way, and see all the positives, see the treasures and the gifts that there are within the challenges and the burdens and the traumas that we faced. then we can initiate ourselves further and deeper, and the fear of seeing ourselves and what we've been through, or the fear of experiencing shame because we used to perceive ourselves in a different way, when that starts to diminish and dissolve, when we really come into this deeper appreciation and gratitude for ourselves and these journeys that we've had, we are able to flow into these initiatory events with more of an open heart, with more respect and appreciation for ourselves, knowing that it's okay. There are no more mistakes to be made. There's no more a way of doing it wrong, because every situation, every event is something for me to learn from, is an initiation for me to move through, and a way for me to build and walk through these evolutionary pathways, take evolutionary action. So every step, whether it is a step that was smooth and helped us to glide forward, or it was a step where we stumbled and we fell, every step becomes a step in our initiatory pathway. I have so many students and so many clients that day in, day out are sharing with me just how much they appreciate and how proud they are of themselves as they start to shed, as they start to see themselves, they start to see the parts in their inner world and just how beautifully their parts are working for them. Start to refine their perspective and no longer see those difficult parts as difficult. They start to see those parts as helping and doing their best. The amount of times that I have seen my clients share, oh my gosh, I now see that part of me and appreciate just how hard it's working for me, and appreciate that this is an initiation for them of deepening into a new way of being with the parts of themselves. The amount of times that I've seen that, and I've seen my clients blown away by themselves, by the seemingly simple thing, it just still, I'm in awe, and it gives me so much hope and faith for humanity and for our own personal growth and evolution. And so this is my message to you, is what are you initiating yourself through at this time? This is my question. What have you initiated yourself through in the past? What challenges or traumas or stories have you faced or overcome that you can look back and see that as an initiation where you were working and evolving through your cycles and through your patterns into a new phase of your life, and you can take those lessons and gifts and carry them forward? How are you being initiated by nature around you, by your guides, by the teachers of the animals and the plants and the directions and the nature beings that you're working with? What are your animal companions showing you and teaching you about the world? What is your relationship with your mother or your father or your children initiating within you? What is it showing you? How is it helping you to grow? My prayer is for each of you to recognize the power and potency in your own individual medicine, in the medicine that you are cultivating for yourself, and how that is going to impact or already impacting the medicine that you share with those people around you. And you don't have to be a practitioner, because just your light and your love and the way that you hold yourself in itself is an inspiration for those around you. And just know that even if you don't share anything with anybody else, whatever you work through internally is seen and is felt and is heard by the unseen, by nature, because we are all connected. All of our consciousness is connected, whether we speak out loud or not. And all of this work that we are doing is reinforcing one another. We are co-creating one another a more beautiful, a stronger and more liberated world for all of us to come together internally or externally. Please comment. Let me know how this teaching touched you. It's been an honor to share with you. All my love.